You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the Kari Feinstein Emmy Style Lounge at the world-famous Mondrian Hotel on Sunset Blvd and streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Breaking Bad edition. We'll break down all of the Season 4 action so far and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Breaking Bad edition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV, coming to you live from the Emmy Awards gifting suites here at the Mondrian Hotel, Sunset Blvd, in the heart of Hollywood. I'm Paul Ashton. I'm here with Tam, John, and Kenny, and we are here to talk about an Emmy-conquering show, Breaking Bad. It's just had its 9th episode of the season on Sunday night. Just gone. It's an incredible 4 seasons so far. And what's particularly sad and interesting in light of where we currently are is that Breaking Bad is not nominated for any Emmy Awards this year because they started the season so late. That they weren't eligible.
And I'm wondering if they're shooting themselves. They're thinking that, God, if things were different, we could have been in there. And how would it have really changed up the Emmy nomination?
Well, and this is the last season, right?
They've extended it.
They have. This is news to me, sorry.
The 5th will be the last. AMC, after a very protracted and drawn-out negotiation period, which saw the producers almost take it to FX, because AMC wanted 8 rather than 16 final order. They eventually settled on a deal. Which allows Vince Gilligan and the team to really plan out that climax.
The demise of Walter White.
How can it? Who knows where it will end up? Anyway, they weren't able to be nominated, but they took that extra hiatus and looking at how strong the season is.
Yeah, they really did their work.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they took their time to really do it well. Oh, yeah.
In terms of Emmy history, though, it's an interesting one because Cranston was on the verge of equaling a record only held by Bill Cosby, and that is winning 4 in a row. Now, Cosby did this in 66 to 69. I think, if I have my years correct, 4, well, I'll find out. I've got it here somewhere in my notes. Cranston would have been possibly up for 4 in a row, and now we'll never know.
Would they I guess they wouldn't consider 4 eligibility periods in a row. I wonder if they would.
They're talking
but
4 years in a row.
4 years in a row.
It still won't be the same.
It won't.
No, it's true.
Because it always have the asterisk by it.
It would. You're right.
And and perhaps we can talk about this later on, as we did a little bit earlier with in Boardwalk Empire. It does blow open the Best Actor race.
Clearly.
It does indeed.
Or at least brings it down to a 2-horse race.
Well,
and I wonder if AMC, if that was a part of their plan as far as the Emmys go, to kind of open the door up for John Hamm.
Give John Hamm a shot.
Or John Hamm have a shot at it.
Yeah,
that's some shenanigans going on.
No one can beat him in that race, so maybe this was a step for
and
AMC.
Going on the strength of Cranston's performance this season, did anyone really have a chance?
Right.
No, I mean, it's just he seems to get stronger.
Look, everybody has on that.
What's that?
Everybody has on Breaking Bad.
That's right.
Everybody's gotten stronger.
Absolutely.
I mean, Aaron Paul. I mean, the amount that they've been giving him, and the amount he's been bringing.
I totally agree. And we saw him we had Aaron Paul in the gifting suites here earlier today.
Just a few minutes ago.
Which was pretty exciting.
It was.
We're like scanning the room to see if we can find him.
I was definitely a little bit of a schoolgirl standing next to him. I didn't say anything to him. I did come close to going like this so I could say I rubbed elbows with him, but I didn't even do that.
Well, maybe one day we can get him on a show, but we'll see.
We hope to do that.
We'll cross our fingers. But certainly he has developed in depth and not in maturity. The character's dark side has come out.
Exactly.
You see it in the way that they're dressing him, and I mean
the way they're lighting him. He's almost always lit half light,
side
half
lighting.
Light. He's always got a dark side on him.
Yeah. It's very noticeable in last Sunday's episode. Well, look, before we get, let's spend some time talking about what we've loved so much about this season, because that's where we'll start. A brief rundown from me about where we're at this season and for what it means for each of the main characters to me. Walt, in the aftermath of Gale's death, is basically become obsessed with killing Gus to save himself. Right? As he further descends into darkness. Jesse, main arc, coming to terms with the crime that he has committed, the dark side that he has entered into, and now at his lowest, finding someone, seeing something in him, and the effect that's having on him. Gus, dealing with needing Walt and not wanting Walt, dealing with the cartel and now dealing with Hank. Skyler, Breaking Bad herself into the family business, and now dealing with some tax fraud issues. And it will be interesting to see how that gets resolved. And Hank finding the will to live again through the case. But if I think of the whole season so far, I think of it. I feel like it's been a season about the power and politics of this drug business, and about the notion primarily of divide and conquer.
That's my issue. It's always it's the wedge that's been driven between Walt and Jesse. That's the thing. For me, it's been the crux of this season.
That's right.
And Gus has done it masterfully, just amazing. And it started so innocently. Let's just separate them. Let's just take Jesse on a ride with Mike. And then have Walt get all jealous about it.
And just, the way that they set it up, he was he'd gone so off the rails with his parties at Jesse, and just brilliant tactical work.
Clearly looking for that somebody to come into his life and
take
help
him out.
Exactly.
Or take him out.
Take
and
him
we
out
thought he would.
And help him out,
But they took it in another direction.
That's true. But that was clearly somebody looking, striving, wanting some direction or something in his life to have some meaning other than the guilt that he's feeling over killing Gale.
And there was no greater example of that wedge than the final scene on Sunday night.
It culminates in the fight.
Yes.
These guys used to be, look, we have to stick together or he's going to kill us both. By episode 9, they're beating the crap out of each other.
And Sam and I were just talking about it, about how effectively shot, coordinated, and pitched that fight was. The messiness of it, the scrappiness, eyes, mouths. They weren't fighters, but it was so visceral.
And we were, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick, but we were talking about that. The way they lit that too, they had these just tiny pools of light. So the guys were coming in and out of darkness and in and out of the light, which I thought was very, very, very good.
So guys, what do you think of, like, when you think of the season so far, what are your favorite moments that define the thematic development, or you find are the most important inciting incidents that we've had so far narratively?
Go ahead, Kenny.
I think for me, the episode where Walt's brother-in-law, Hank, drives into the chicken place to put the device under the car, and next to them pulls up Mike. And now, like, you can see Walt's eye, his ear is with Hank, but his eye is clearly on Mike, so he has to decide, his goal is to get rid of Gus, but now he's in a difficult position because now Hank is onto him. So now he's kind of forced to protect him in a way. So I think that was one of the best exchanges for me, as far as both using visual and what the characters were, especially Hank, because he was doing most of the talking. And all you see was Cranston's eyes on Mike, and Mike looking back at him, which was amazing. I think that was a
great shot.
It was a great shot.
As we were watching it, I remember going, beautiful.
And the way just Mike, his stare back at Walt was just incredible.
Not a word between
Not a word.
But so much said.
He's so great. He's just a great character. He's well thought out. And I also wanted to add, what's kept, and you mentioned about Gus and him not wanting Walt, but he needs him. I think that's what kept Walt alive since episode 1.
Sure.
His knowledge and his ability to get out of situations has kept him alive this far. So,
and it's that final act, that final shot of season 3, Gale's death. It just so propelled us into this season. and set up just enough breathing space within that paradigm.
Yes.
Where Gus needs him. Gus needs him, and I mean it segues so beautifully into. I'm just going to jump on one of my favorite moments, not only of the season but the series, is when Walt loses it at Skyler in the bedroom, and goes on about how vital he is, and says, "I'm not in danger. I am the danger."
I'm the knock at the door.
I'm the knock at the door. That's right.
That speech, that place he got to, that writing, that delivery was just like, is just a highlight for me of the whole series.
But what's interesting is that they're still building to that. That's what he wants, and that's what he's thinking. But he's still, I mean, as he just got his butt kicked by Jesse, he's not there yet. So you know,
that's right.
He's still got more to go.
There's actually a great they on the AMC website they have the descriptions of the episodes if you ever want to look at them. It's like amc.com/Breaking Bad, and one of the ways that they described it was that after that danger line, they said, you know, this is what Walt says, but at the same time, there's Gus monitoring him permanently, so he's not really in control at all.
Right. No.
What about for you, John?
Well, there's been a few. I mean, I still have not been able to get over the box cutter.
Yeah.
I mean, that still it's still has permeated the entire season because I keep going back to that. He killed that guy in front of them.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the wedge. If you ask me, that was the beginning.
For
of
me, it was the way he walked away, calmly put on his everything, just got ready, and
completely sociopathic.
Yeah, just very cold.
Yeah.
And a wonderful link, though, when we saw 2 episodes ago, Gus's past.
Exactly.
Yes.
That was my other one I was going to point to. Is doing the backstory of Gus and where he came from and his partner that he had in their relationship. And to see how that has kind of informed his current situation and how he deals with these 2 partners.
When the Mexican drug lord said to him, "I spared you because of who you are," what did that mean to you?
Well, clearly we don't know what he is because they were talking about his Chilean roots in some sense. We don't know where he's from. Why? We don't know. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get more of that.
I think he's involved in the Cuban drug.
Yeah, it's got to
drugs.
be. And I went straight to Pinochet because of Chile and all that other stuff. But I don't know.
I think he's from Cuba.
But why would he talk about Chile?
I think the Chilean thing, the Chilean thing is a smokescreen for the fact that he's from Cuba.
What makes you say that he's from
I don't
Cuba?
know. It's something in the show. It's something I got from the show. Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, I know Hank brought it up when he was investigating it.
I think it's something.
Yeah.
There's no record of him in Chile.
Right.
And I think he said to Mike.
Gus said, if you keep digging, I'm sure you'll find me, which I thought was a great line.
Yeah.
I think it's what he said to Mike after that from The Office. What about Cuba? And that made me think. I think he, and maybe someone else said it, or I read it somewhere. Something about him being.
Oh my goodness! What are you guys talking about? We are talking about Aaron Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Paul has joined us in the Style Lounge.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about the
little show, Boardwalk Empire. Have you seen
what
it?
a crap show.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AfterBuzz TV, Aaron Paul.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. How are
Thanks for coming by.
you?
We appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, thanks for talking about the show in such a great way.
Kenny, John, Tam, I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron. Nice to meet you.
So we were just kind of like talking about our favorite parts of the season so far.
Yeah,
The
what are those?
Well, we were just discussing the wedge that Gus has been really masterfully put between you and Walt. That's
divide
what we
and
discussed.
conquer.
Yeah,
the theme
I
of the
mean,
season.
Gus is a very smart,
Extremely.
very smart man.
Yeah.
And
He's playing chess on layers.
Yeah.
He's got a 3-dimensional chess player.
yeah, and that's his plan was to try and separate these 2 characters. And so you haven't seen anything yet. The final 4 episodes of this season is the most intense that this show has ever gone. So
I have a question for you. I've read, I don't know if this is true, but do you necessarily read a bunch of scripts ahead, or do you try not to?
No, I try not to. Yeah,
And
we actually.
You don't like to discuss these scripts with say your fellow actors, or do you like to just?
No,
how do you like to handle
I
it?
literally read it 1 script at a time, and
Is that all they give you, one at a time?
script-wise, yeah, but we get the outlines usually about 2-3 outlines at once, so we kind of see where the arc is going.
Right.
And it's even tough for me not to read those. I try not read those all at once, but sometimes I can't help myself because I think I'm just like you guys. I want to know what the hell is happening. Yeah.
So when you knew your own lot were coming to blows, what did you think when you were reading that?
When I was reading that, I could not believe it, and the final line of that episode was just telling him, "Get
out of my house.
Get out of my house.
Don't come back."
That's the last thing we've seen on Sunday night. We were talking about that earlier, and there's a great thing on the AMC website, all the backstage, behind the scenes
about the fights. Yeah.
Now, was that like a whole day?
That was the only thing scheduled that day, was the fight. All the dialogue up to the fight was shot the day prior.
Nice.
But the fight took an entire day.
Do you get to go chronologically much like that? I mean, that must help, the day before.
It did help. Usually it's not. Usually it's just so sporadic. And it's just like if you're shooting interior Jesse's house, usually do that all at once. And that's why we did that.
And in this season, mostly that's just involved a lot of meth addicts and drugs.
Yeah, it's just been an ongoing party.
Yeah, at least consistent for you.
I'm going to ask you a question, another one.
Yeah.
You've got to be thrilled with the breadth and the depth that they've allowed. I mean, your character goes.
Oh my God, it is an absolute dream. I mean, all these characters, they're always in a constant change of who they actually are. They're constantly changing, constantly morphing into different people within themselves, and so it's an actor's dream to be able to jump into a role, and that role is not the same throughout the entirety of the series.
There's such a strong arc for you this season, coming off like really moving over into the dark side with that, with the murder, and this arc of Jesse dealing with that. And I mean, one of my favorite bits, and I've got it, Jesse goes to the NA meeting, Aaron Paul nails it.
Oh, thank you.
I got written just here. But that was such an amazing scene, and I mean, just everything about Jesse's darker. The clothing, that black jacket that he's always
Everything's
wearing.
darker,
And I mean, talk to us about that scene where he goes, and that guy, the actor who plays the NA.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's just so wonderful.
Yeah, incredible.
And that story.
Just so honest.
Yeah, and Jesse just is just so brutal.
Yeah.
It's such a dark.
Yeah.
Like what?
It was really that point of the season was finally the opportunity to allow Jesse to just let his internal emotions out, because he's been just hiding everything inside, just shoving all of his emotions deep inside, and so it was breaking him, it was hurting him, and I mean, you notice at the beginning of the season, he was trying to act okay, everything was fine after the murder of Gail, but truly, obviously, it wasn't. He just had to keep himself distracted, had to keep people around him, had to keep using to keep his mind off of his internal thoughts, because when he was left alone, that's when things get dangerous for Jesse. And so finally, it was a point of how dare the world, like, why am I not getting punished for my actions? This is you cannot just accept. That's why he's losing.
It was a strange projection onto the weak on one level, and confession at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like just the bearing of the sins. You know.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Aaron,
when I read,
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. No, when I read that, Peter Gould wrote that episode. He also directed it, and when I read that scene, I mean, it was like close to a 3-page monologue. Really, it's such a long monologue, and everything in that monologue was so important, and it was perfect, really.
And of course, Gus comes along at just the right time, saying that he sees something in someone, and Jesse resists it, but you can't deny. And Walter's arrogance is what's really stuffing him up, because he won't encourage Jesse, he's pushing him away.
You know, kind of speaking to that, my impression of Jesse for so much of the series has been he's just really been a guy in despair.
Yeah.
And then now that Gus comes along and gives him this sort of, a little twinkle of possibility of something, he could be something
bigger. Yeah, exactly.
How does that change your interpretation of the things that you do?
Well, it's just it's interesting because throughout the season, or the series rather, Jesse everyone in his life has really abandoned him, and the people that didn't abandon him end up dying, like Jane. And what allowed Jane to die? And when Jesse's family just turned their back on him, he literally was left with nothing.
Right.
And the only thing he had was Walt. And then Walt pretty much walked.
Right.
And now this season is so interesting because obviously he despises Gus and he's intrigued by Gus, but he's terrified of him as well. But when he says, "Why me? Why'd you choose me?"
Yeah.
He goes, "I like to think that I see things in people," and he's just.
Now, do you think
It's so
Jesse
interesting
thought
that it
that
was
was
loyalty.
genuine?
Yeah.
Like that I didn't expect. Loyalty is something that he must see in him. And
Yeah.
it's
I'm
true.
curious. Did Jesse see that as manipulation, or did you think Jesse felt that was sincere?
I think at that point, 100% sincere.
Because he really wanted to. He really wanted
Yeah.
to believe it.
Sometimes you can
Yeah.
even know it's
Yeah.
manipulation but want to believe it. Can
Yeah,
you just have
absolutely.
one final
I have a
before we
question
let go?
that's totally not about the show, but you won the Emmy last year. What was going through your mind when they called your name?
You know what? I went to the Emmys this last year completely expecting to jump up out of my seat and applaud for anybody else other than myself. You know, like
Right.
Michael Emerson, Ortega Quinn. I was going to jump up and applaud because they're brilliant. I was not expecting to go up on that stage. And so it was just utter shock.
Are you dark
Right.
that
So
you
how do
don't
you
get
go-
back up there this year?
No, you know, we're just, you know, this year we're not eligible,
Yeah.
and
Right.
you know, it'll be fun to go to the party, but
But
no
How
pressure.
do you go from a character who was going to get written off
Right.
to winning?
I know. I have no idea.
Is that
Talk about a journey we think Jesse's gone through.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that's an
yeah.
amazing
No, I
journey.
mean,
the writers for it?
yeah, no. Jesse was gonna get was slated to be killed off in the
Yeah.
first season, and
Well, that's a credit to you, I guess.
Exactly.
yeah, no, it's great. I mean, once we got picked up, once we shot the pilot, and we got picked up to series, because that was the arc of the first season that Vince would pitch around. Vince Gilligan, our creator,
Yeah.
would pitch around that Jesse would bring Walter White into this dark business,
Right.
and then ends up dying in a tragic. I think it was a shootout originally, but once we got picked up to series, Vince decided, you know what, the whole show has changed once we
Yeah.
shot the pilot. They just love the dynamic between Mr. White and Jesse Pinkman. They love the tug of war, butting
and it's
head.
a great
And you and Bryan
father-son
Cranston.
thing
I mean,
going
Yeah,
on.
no.
You
I mean,
guys
did you guys ever talk
bring it.
about the father-son thing going
Yeah.
on between the two of you?
Yeah, yeah, no,
That
you know,
stuff
it was
is really-
at the beginning it was such a love-hate relationship, or not even really a love-hate. It was more of
It
like
was
a
a hate-
frustrated hate relationship.
It was-
But as these characters tended to spend more time together, it was absolutely, it turned into a father-son sort of
Yeah.
dynamic, and I think it was very special.
Well, who knows where it's going to end up? We can't wait
Yeah.
to see.
Because we can't, we don't know what's going to happen. I can't imagine as you get the scripts. Do you have any clue? And did you just
Yeah,
sit there and
you're gonna lose your mind. It gets so intense. It gets so intense.
So excited.
It's just so great to have you chat to us. And
Thank you.
so
Hey,
much.
nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me. And thank you so much for doing this on Breaking Bad. I really appreciate it.
It's
I
easy.
so appreciate it.
Just one quick shot.
Yeah.
I want to throw one out.
Stand
Can
up.
I say one thing?
Yeah.
So, you know, Maria Menounos is,
Yes.
this is why it's all got started, because of the show, and she's such a fan of you. And so what we want to do, and we're going to talk to you about it, I know Maria's going to talk to you about it, we would actually like to do the season finale at John Lovett's Comedy Club up at Universal City, because he does Adam Carolla up there. They've invited us. We maybe love to have you come out
Oh
in
wow!
front
I
of a
mean,
live audience.
yeah.
and
And
answer questions.
I'll spread the word. See if we can get some more people down there.
Your writers, everything, because it's
Yeah.
just, it's incredible. Anyway, I'm out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you much. Do a quick photo.
Thank you so much, guys. I really, truly appreciate this. I told Vince the other day that you guys do this. He was just honored and thankful.
So love the show, and we're just,
Well, we've listened to
we're
his
just so
podcast
impressed.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, great, you do?
Yeah. Talk on the mic.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.
so
Have a good one.
much.
Thank
you. Thanks for stopping by. Wow.
Okay,
how about
that's
that?
The question now becomes, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
I don't think we
Bryan
can go
Cranston,
anywhere.
ladies and gentlemen. Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Vince
Vince
Gilligan.
Gilligan is coming
Yeah.
in.
Anybody, yeah.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay.
That was a little that's amazing.
My
That's
heart
good.
rate's kind of high right now.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Well, well-deserved Emmy certainly for
Yes.
him, and we're sorry to see that he isn't eligible this year, because I think, I mean, again, what the writers have given him and what he's been able to bring to that role has been incredible. To go from a guy that was just this kind of throwaway drug dealer to what he's doing now is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been thrilling to watch.
And let's just say he's got that Emmy next year on lockdown.
Well, we certainly hope so.
Lockdown.
We certainly hope so. Well, before he joined us, we were talking about our favorite moments or moments that were causing us to have the most, I don't know, thought-provoking, right? To say that way. And Tammy, I didn't hear yours.
Well, and you know, I thought I would sort of go off of the general consensus and talk a little bit about the woman on the show.
Yes.
Talk about Skyler a little bit. It's been so fascinating to watch her go from completely ignorant, not knowing anything about Walt and his business, to now running the business. I mean, talk about a grand transformation.
Not only then she was ignorant, and then she went into being so disgusted, pissed off, and then I mean, my favorite moment about that is when he said, when Walt says to her, "Are you in or you out?" And all she does, she doesn't answer. She just starts putting the money in the safe.
Yeah.
So she's in.
Yeah. She's in. She's human as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love the way that they did the bit with the message on the answering machine, which leads them to hooking back up.
Yes.
And I felt there was this part of her that for the first time allowed herself to get turned on by how badass Walt's become. I think maybe there's a little bit of her that there's this strength and dark side to him that whilst is also terrifying, and certainly a little bit later on became too terrifying and sent her out of the house.
Yeah.
That wonderful, deciding moment where she was like, am I gone? Am I out of this?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see that her transformation, because 3 seasons ago she would not have gone in the scene from last weekend where she goes in to pretend to be dumb, get dumb at camp. That was a completely different Skyler from like the first couple of seasons, and it was so great to see her transformation as well.
It's like that bad element.
Yes.
It seeps in, and I'm going to do the same thing that I said at Boardwalk Empire earlier today, is that when you're like here, and you can rationalize taking a step down to there.
Yeah.
Right? You can, because it's not that far, and there's a reason. Then now you're here.
Yeah.
You can now easily rationalize taking a step down to there, because it's not that far.
Right.
And you
There's
keep
that
doing
slippery
that,
slope, 'cause
and then there's how far you've gone.
I did that one. I have to do this one sometimes, and then if I did that one, then I'll probably.
And all of a sudden you've murdered someone.
Right.
And
Very
so,
slippery
you murdered somebody.
And so interesting how
It's
they
that
brought Beneke back.
Great, slow seduction to the dark side that's happening.
They brought back the man who she, was like the infidelity, who's now in deep financial trouble, but more to the point, will bring the law snooping around in her affairs right at the time
not
where she
only
can't
the
afford
law,
it.
but it's going to bring the interloper into Walt's house.
Yeah.
Because now the guy who slept with his wife is back on the scene.
Well, see, that's such great writing, because I totally forgot about him from the last season.
Yeah.
For him to come back now at this point in the series is absolutely brilliant.
And
it's
it looks
amazing.
like
While all that other stuff is happening.
it looks like from what happened on Sunday night that she's going to go and find $600,000 of Walt's to pay off that tax bill
She's already
to
got.
protect themselves.
She just has to go into a crawl space. She's got it.
Yeah.
I wonder how she'll explain that one to you.
Well, I'd say
I wonder if he even knows he has that much at this point.
No, I mean, how she'll explain it to Beneke where the money came from.
They hinted that. No, you can't do that, and all that. So she's gonna come up with some lie. My guess is she'll probably continue the lie of his gambling, and that's how that money. So that's already been successful. I don't think she can pull over the idea that the car wash has been so successful so quickly.
600 grand in a month.
So.
Right.
That was a great scene too, when she was at the cash register ringing up fake customers,
talking to herself.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Because at first I actually thought she was talking to people, but
well, because it also was really great with me. I don't know how to launder money, and
Exactly.
because it went from being very theoretical to being.
But that's also
very
taking
brass tacks and exactly
that's also
how it's
taking
done.
her smarts as an accountant and how to get out of that
Covering her
situation.
tracks,
Yeah.
yep.
So
Another scene that I loved was when Walt got drunk. And propelled the season forward by keeping Hank in the game. His arrogance, his pride, he just couldn't let it go.
Everything, that's his fatal flaw.
He becomes so belligerent.
If he had just kept his mouth shut,
Hank was out of the game.
That's right, and was happy to stay out.
Right.
But not now.
And that's been a really great arc for him as well.
Yeah, Hank.
For Hank, just finding the will to live again, and just that great detective work.
Oh, and the monologue he got to say to his, his colleagues when he was trying to explain, how he thought Gus was part of this thing.
They think he's crazy now. They're humoring him because he's a cripple.
Right.
And then that final line. Then what are his fingerprints doing?
Exactly.
In Gail's house.
And you notice, and then the next episode, they don't want to believe it. They don't want for a second want to believe that Gus is involved at all. But Hank knows.
Right.
He knows. He just doesn't know how yet. He doesn't know how to prove it.
Oh, it's been a great season, and I mean, for Aaron Paul to come on here and say the next 3 to 4 episodes are going to take you places you've never been before.
Wow.
As if the first 8 or 9 hasn't done that already.
Right.
As if the end of season 2, shooting those 2 guys in the head and run. As if that wasn't
Run.
I mean,
that was my favorite line. Run.
Oh my gosh.
It's a truly great series, and why don't we have a chat a bit more about the Emmys
Okay, sure.
and what we think about this situation. Nominated for 10, won 6 thus far.
In 3 seasons, is that right?
Over 3 seasons.
It's pretty good.
Cranston won all 3.
Yeah.
Aaron Paul nominated twice, the second 2 seasons, won the last one.
Yeah.
They've
When he won, by the way, I was just bawling my eyes out, crying because I was so happy that he won.
I just remember the look on his face when they called his name, and that's why I wanted to ask him what he was thinking at the time.
Yeah, it's a great question.
He was in utter shock.
Yeah,
Most
I'm so
people
glad you
kind of
asked me that. It was
expect to win.
And
He was in utter shock.
Interesting.
I've got this lovely quote from him last year from Winning, where he says, "I can't even begin to explain it to you. When I saw Cranston's face first, when I saw his face first when they called my name, Brian's, I saw the joy and excitement. It's just unreal. And the rest of the cast jumped up and hugged me, and when I went up on stage, I could see Brian jumping up and down, throwing his fist in the air. That's what it's all about." And then Brian took the Emmy 3 years running, and it was just unreal. And there's this great photo of them goofing off with their 2 Emmys backstage.
That's nice.
I don't know if you can see that.
That's great.
It's great. It's great.
Looks like they have a lot of fun. All right.
I bet it really is fun to win an Emmy.
All right. We've got another special guest coming in.
Oh, terrific.
Hill Harper from CIS New York. CSI New York. Hello, Hill.
Oh, nice to meet you.
This is Tam, John, and Kenny.
How are you?
It's a pleasure. Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks for being here.
How's it going?
It's going good. We're talking about Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Have you watched any of it?
Never seen it.
All right.
But you should try it. It's very good.
Okay.
But you're on CSI New York, right?
Yes.
So you have the pleasure of working with Gary Sinise.
I absolutely do every day.
How many seasons have you done?
This is our 8th season.
And you've been on all 8?
I certainly have.
Wow. Do you think it'll go to a 9th?
No.
Okay.
This is the last one.
No, I don't know, to be honest. I really don't. The television world right now is changing and shifting so quickly. You just never know what the future holds. They moved us to Friday.
Yeah.
But
how's that been going?
Well, it's been great because we have such a strong block on Fridays. We win. What's amazing about our show is that I think in the 8 seasons, there's only been 1 or 2 nights, and this is literally out of, 170 some episodes, where we have lost to another regularly scheduled program that wasn't a special. I think that we'd gotten beaten by the World Series or something like that, but a regular show, or the Olympics or something.
Yeah,
but
right.
the regularly scheduled program, and then on Friday nights, we were on Wednesdays at 10, where now the original CSI has taken that space, Wednesdays at 10, and we're moved to Fridays at 9. and we have a new show called with the show with Patrick Wilson. It's going to be our lead-in.
A Gifted Man.
The
Gifted Man, which is supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be really good.
He's terrific, and surely he's going to pull some viewers. That pretty face.
And then we've been giving Blue Bloods a real nice lead-in, and so it's been a pretty powerful night. So it's interesting. It's just about how many people are there on Friday nights and what happens over the course of the season. Who knows?
Yeah. And how do you find working on a procedural like CSI? You know, like what do you have to? All of you actors, you're dealing with a case every episode,
right?
To keep it fresh. Like in terms of you as an actor, how do you approach that?
I think that number one, you really rely on the writing, because at the end of the day, if it's not on the page, I don't care what show it is or what you're doing. If it's not there on the page, you can't make it work. And so, our blessing, and I think the blessing with all all the CSI shows, is that they keep the writing group, the writing team, at an extremely high level.
Right.
You know, Pam Visay is our showrunner, and she just is also show running the show Ringer, and she's just an incredible writer and an incredible showrunner, and so the quality of our writing has always been so high. So I really give it up. It's really the biggest challenge is more on the writers to keep it fresh.
Yes.
And then so they're always coming with new, different ways that people will die, and then new and different ways for us to solve it, which is pretty incredible. And then for me as an actor, you know, during my downtime, you know, I've written 4 New York Times best-selling books, and that's all been since we started CSI. Because what happens is in 8 years,
that's one every 2 years.
Every 2 years, a book.
What sort of stuff do you write?
Well, my latest book is a book called The Wealth Cure, which came out about 2 weeks ago. That it currently is number 6 on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's about redefining what true wealth is in your life and how to tap into true wealth and living your best life.
What do you define as true wealth?
Well, you go through all these different wealth factors in the book. You know, it's like 267 pages. You gotta get by the book. But
to find out.
You know, identifying the difference between smart money and dumb money, figuring out if money is using you or if you're using money, figuring out what your wealth factors are, that kind of thing. But the reason why I mention it is because as an actor on a show like CSI, you have a lot of downtime, so you're able to do other things with your brain. You're able to, you know, pick up the DNA when you got to do that, but when you're sitting around your dressing room, you can write, you can do other things. There's a lot of actors on our show. You know, I personally choose to write
Are they all
non-fiction.
All non-fiction? Yeah, right.
But you know, the other guys, you know, a couple guys are guitarists, and they play in their dressing rooms, and you know, so there's a way to keep fresh as an artist while you're doing the same character over and over again. If that makes any sense.
How is it just amazing working with Gary Sinise? I mean,
I love Gary. Super professional, really wonderful family guy who comes to work every day ready to work, you know, and so it's been a real pleasure working with him and just being with a real, you know, in 8 years, you know, we're not one of those sets where there's any drama. You know, people are professional. They come to work, they do their job, and then they go home. Yeah. You know, and
you guys are cast by Jen Cooper, one of he's a friend of mine.
Oh, is she?
Such a great casting director, you know, doing
She's
so well.
wonderful, and she does a great job, and that's another thing that helps keep the show fresh. Obviously, all the guest stars that come onto the show. You know, I was shooting a scene earlier today, and Anna Belknap, who's also on the show, there was a female guest star who was there, and she made the comment to me. She joked. She said, "You know what? If you're a young female actress, and you haven't guested on our show in 8 years, where have you been?" I mean, she was making it was kind of like if you're a New York actor and you were never on Law and Order. It's like, you know, it's the same type of thing. Yeah. So there's a lot of wonderful guest star roles, particularly for damsels in distress. It seems that always there's a young, scantily clad girl being killed. You know, for ratings purposes, I'm sure. Yes. And so it's been fun.
Terrific. Well, Hill Harper from CSI New York, thank you so much for having a chat with us.
Absolutely.
Look forward to your book, which is called
The Wealth Cure.
The Wealth
Cure, number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yes.
Go and buy it, people.
Want to keep it there, exactly.
Support Hill.
Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com is the best place.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for
Thank
giving
you
us
guys.
your time.
Take care.
Thanks for stopping by.
Hill Harper from CSI New York.
Yes.
Wow.
Kicking some goals with the old celebs today.
Who's next? Bring it on.
Yeah.
So, of course, Jen Cooper, who I was just talking about, casting director, has cast CSI New York, I think for most of its in time since she started back at FMW, she was one of the cast directors on Serial Buddies, and in fact is responsible for me being in Serial Buddies.
How about that? Which is where we're going to be seen at the Boston Film Festival.
Boston Film Festival next Tuesday night.
Next
Tuesday night.
Right?
Yeah. Starting to poke its little head.
An amazing job of acting in that movie, I must say.
Incredible. Paul is amazing.
I was in the editing room with him very many
we have many hours.
Yes.
You'll also see John play about 50 million characters, and Tam did all of the costumes.
I did the wardrobe, yeah. So it was a family affair. This movie.
It sure was.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Us to CSI New York. What were we talking? We were talking about the Emmys.
Oh, right.
Emmys.
I did want to get your guys' opinion on, and we did talk about it a bit on Boardwalk. The two gentlemen, Cranston no longer around.
Yeah.
Is Ham a shoe-in, or is Buscemi gonna?
Well, Buscemi won the SAG Award.
And he won the Globe.
So you've got to think that he's going to win it.
Now, the odds makers, I have the odds right here in front of us. The odds makers say it's John Hamm by 80%, Steve Buscemi by 20%.
I have to agree.
Really?
The episode that Ham submitted, very emotional, and it kind of
him and Peggy getting drunk.
Yes, and it was normally a typical episode of Mad Men is they jump around, they focus on different characters.
Right.
The majority of this episode was just the two of them.
Yeah.
So and it was very emotional, and I actually like his chances as well.
You think he gets the nod?
I think he will win.
I do feel that perhaps the Academy will also keep in mind that he has been amazing for 4 seasons, has not had a chance because of Cranston.
Okay, so you think John Hamm? You think John Hamm?
Yes.
You had earlier
I said Steve Buscemi.
I'm going to say.
I don't know.
I feel like Boardwalk might have more of a chance of upsetting Mad Men in Best Drama. Than, maybe, I don't know what I think.
I think that.
I don't know.
I think they will give
talk about it.
I think they'll give the whole thing to Boardwalk. I think they'll give the actor to John.
I think it will go either way. I think it'll go one way or another. If Boardwalk wins it, I think it'll go to Ham. If Mad Men,
But
I think
here's
it'll go
the
to
better
Buscemi.
question. What would it be if Breaking Bad was in?
No one would
Cranston.
have a prayer.
Yes, absolutely. And I think whoever wins, Buscemi or Ham, they should thank Bryan Cranston for not being nominated. That should be the first person they thank.
Yeah, I want to thank Bryan Cranston for not being here.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, like, their actors are allowed to submit one episode.
Yeah.
He could submit any one of the one from this season.
That's right.
You know, whereas certain actors have maybe 1 or 2 really stand out. He has a whole season to choose from, which is that speaks a lot. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, considering how impressed we've been with Aaron Paul's season, you'd be hard-pressed to not see him pulling it off a second time.
Yeah.
I mean, if he deserved it last season, he deserves it this season.
Oh my God, this season even more so, I would say. That's what I think. I think for sure.
All right.
We got.
Any other like startling moments you guys feel we need to cover?
Well, how about Gus? First of all, we just barely touched on Gus and his backstory.
Yeah.
Which I thought I love it when they do that. I love that you never know. They bring people back, even though they've been killed, they'll do a flashback and you'll see. And so I just like that. I also thought, coming off of that, his Terminator move last episode. There's bullets are firing everywhere, and he just goes right into there.
Knowing full well they wouldn't shoot him. It was incredible.
But still being able to do it. I mean, my God, even if you thought they're not going to kill me, it's still a hard thing to do. I mean,
the guts that takes.
Incredible.
That was amazing. I also really liked the detail of his incoming.
Look what we got.
We've got some all natural
Oh, goodness
kettle.
gracious.
Hi.
We need some more.
How's it going?
We need some more.
How's it going?
It's going good. Talk to us. What are we
Now
dealing
it's
with?
better, right?
Yes,
Has anyone
are you
tried
kidding?
Comerford, Indiana?
No.
Yes, I've had it
I
before.
actually
It's
haven't.
delicious.
Yeah,
Kettle
You
corn.
know I haven't. I was holding off. I was
best
holding off for this
popcorn
moment.
You
in
don't
the
have to
world.
settle for kettle corn only at the county fair.
Popcorn
telling you.
Indiana, it's
Look at
called.
that.
So talk to us about it.
Popcorn,
good.
Indiana, as I said, the best
You gotta
popcorn in the
get
world.
everybody.
Comes
It's
in a
so
million
good.
different flavors. We have kettle corn, cinnamon sugar. We have cocoa kettle.
It's very good.
Bacon ranch. We have, you name it, we have it. Movie theater, it's the best.
I've had your chips for the first time today. You must talk about them because they're
The
delicious.
chippins are new. We have them in sea salt. We have white cheddar, buffalo wings, or hot buffalo, and jalapeno ranch.
And are they like potato chips or are they like nacho chips?
No, they're healthy for you, not
They're
like
healthy.
potato chips, but you can dip them, so it's even better than a regular chip.
So you can
and
dip them into unhealthy stuff.
They're
That's
so
right.
good because they have this
chip.
texture of the popcorn,
Yes.
you know, and they're so good. I'm telling you, I just was eating them an hour
So
ago.
what does kettle popped mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah, like as opposed to, is that how popcorn's normally popped?
It's popcorn Indiana's secret. We can't share.
You can't, it's like the
But
Colonel's
it's low in
secret
calories
herbs
But they
and
were
it's
originally
amazing.
made in a kettle. That's how they were popping.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like a kettle that you...
Talk about why you're also famous in
Not
your
a
own way?
chicken. Yeah, please.
Why are you famous in your own
Yeah,
way?
why are you
What
famous
did
in
you
your
do
own way?
like to get in trouble?
Yeah, what did you do to get in trouble? I forgot. How
I
did this
didn't
work?
do any.
Who
I
was
don't
it,
know
the
what you're
Bachelor or
talking
the Bachelor?
about.
What
What?
was it like?
I don't know what
Were
you're
you on
talking
the
about.
Yes, you dated somebody, one of those guys.
You dated someone from The
What are you talking
Bachelor?
about?
I don't know what you're talking
Come on,
about.
share with the
You can
fans.
tell us,
We
Kevin
love her.
Will.
Come on.
Popcorn Indiana is so good. Yay!
Which season of The Bachelor?
Popcorn.
Come on, give it a
Can I
good.
ask you
Am I
something?
turning bright red? What?
Can I? No, wait.
Actually, you're now
All right.
more red than the packaging.
Okay, we
The
won't talk
packaging is
about
now
it,
not
but
as red as you.
Were your employers happy with the extra publicity or upset?
My employers are happy because I'm a great publicist.
Because you do a
Always.
really good
Right.
job.
And
Exactly.
then every photo of you had a
I'm
bag
like
of popcorn.
so red right now.
When you're involved. Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
So,
At least we got popcorn out of it.
Yeah, really.
so for any of you Harry Potter geeks out there, Mr. Malfoy just walked
Yes, he
past.
did.
Jason
Oh, Draco
Isaacs.
Malfoy?
Yeah.
Who has a new series coming out. They've been trying to get him on a pilot for about 5 years.
Yeah.
I think he's shot a couple that none of them stuck.
Yeah.
He's on one, it's stuck, it's coming to series. He's got black hair, dark hair, the opposite to
you might
Lucius
not recognize
Malfoy's
him.
blonde.
Yeah.
Right.
He just stepped out the door. So he's terrific. I don't know if any of you guys saw Green Zone, the Paul Greengrass film starring Matt Damon. Bit of a Bourne Legacy thing about the like conspiracy theory. Well, not really conspiracy, probably fact about the Iraq War. He played the bad.
He's
kind
been
of-
great in everything. He was in The Patriot. He was in Soldier. I mean, the guy's been great in everything.
He's just such a good badass.
He's terrific. And but he's also played. What was it? I can't remember the role where he didn't play the badass. He played the good guy. And I was like, whoa! I thought for sure he was going to be a badass in that too. I can't remember the role. I'm sorry if I remember it. I'll cut. But he played this great guy, and you know, actually was it on West Wing? Yeah, it was West Wing.
Was it West Wing?
He was in West Wing.
Wow, back
Yeah,
in the
he was
day.
the one that was pulled that out. Okay.
Which, speaking of the Emmys,
Yeah, exactly.
Chick was here earlier.
won 9 Emmys in a season and holds the current record, which Boardwalk Empire could potentially be.
That's right.
If they win 2, they just need to win 2 more to equal, and
Now,
they need...
okay. Now, do you think that's going to happen?
No. They could win 2, because Scorsese will win, and if Buscemi wins... I don't think Kelly MacDonald will win.
Yeah, but look, this is their dominant so far. Look, they've been nominated for 11. They've won 7 of the 11 they were nominated for already.
18 total.
So
On the Sunday, they've
just if
got
you keep the same
director,
ratio, they're usually going to get 2 more.
director, drama, actor, and supporting actress.
Cinematography,
I think
oh,
they'll
yeah.
get 2 more. I think they'll equal 9. I don't think they'll do 10.
Well, usually a show, the Academy likes to pick the new kid on the block, so to speak.
Yeah.
However, Mad Men has dominated the category 4 times in a row, drama series. So, and if Mad Men wins, they tie the West Wing for most. Yeah. So, be interesting to see what would happen. I'm going.
The question is, was season 4 strong enough for Mad Men?
I think it was actually. I think it was. I think it was one of the better seasons out of all 4 of them.
Wow.
So, I like their chances. I think it's going to win. I think my personal favorite is Dexter, but they don't really have a shot with that series. But
At least Michael C. Hall. Oh, did he win the Globe?
who?
Michael C. Hall.
I think
or
he
did
did.
he win the, like when he was just recovered?
I think he won last year. I don't think he won anything this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
So
Well, have we hit everything? Because If we're good, we're good. We can wrap this up.
I think we're good.
I'm good.
We've kind of
I'm still sort of basking in the glow of sitting near and shaking hands with Aaron Paul.
We really want to thank Aaron Paul.
Exciting to have him here. When he walked in the door, several of us, I'm just going to say me, were like giddy like schoolgirls here, and it was so exciting to have him here. And thank goodness he came over. I mean, well, how generous, you know? There's a lot going on here.
He seemed really into the whole idea that we sit here and shoot the breeze about them.
And speaking of Aaron, we're gonna do our finale. We really hope that we're working on putting our finale of Breaking Bad. We're going to be doing it hopefully at the John Lovitz studio, Comedy Club, where they have a studio there. And you know, if we can really get Aaron there, that would be great.
And Aaron said he's going to see if he can get some of the other guys there as well.
Yeah, because we would love to have the writers come on. We would love to have everybody come on. It's been such a phenomenal.
It'll be like a 5-hour podcast.
Yeah, we're going to work on that really hard. So hopefully, just stay tuned for that. We'll have some upcoming news for you in the next time we do that.
And of course, looking forward to the fifth and final season. 16 episodes ordered. Due to start shooting early 2012. Do you guys, just briefly, I mean, what is Walt going to die at the end? Is that the only way?
Yeah, Kevin and I argue about this all the time. I think Kevin really wants him to succeed, to go on, to live beyond the show. And, you know, in everything I've read and everything I've heard, Vince Gilligan has always said this will not end pretty. And my guess is that this guy will not end pretty. I think that if anybody makes it out, right now the way it looks is, for me, Jesse's the only one that looks like he might make it out.
Wow, yeah.
The other question is how many of Walt's family will still be alive? That's what I think is where the real heartbreak and the real...
yeah, I think there is real heartbreak.
Jesse and the baby.
Yeah, maybe.
That's possible.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a prediction. You heard it here first, people.
I think Walt's demise, well, I should say Walt's, what's the word I'm looking for? His sink into hell is going to be complete.
I agree with you.
I think his descent into hell will be complete.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think they will pull back from that.
There's actually, you know, we've said it before. There are real Shakespearean elements to this series, and more it becomes like Macbeth. More and more and more. The blood on the hands, the descent, the grab for power. Because now Walt, once Gus is gone, as if Walt doesn't see the power vacuum that is the potential for him.
The power that's been denied him his entire life is within his grasp.
And that's what's so wonderful, that rage, that suppression he's felt his whole life that was like so wonderfully mapped out in season 1 with his millionaire friends.
Yeah.
And how he just swallowed it all. And it's almost as if
he's been swallowing so much for years.
That it caused him cancer.
Yeah.
You know.
That cancer from within.
And it's only through that disease that he's been able to
he's been able to expunge the cancer.
Right.
But in the process, the exchange is his soul.
Right.
But I think Walt definitely out. Jesse maybe, but I think Jesse might survive.
Yeah, I feel like...
Wouldn't that be ironic? The guy that was going to get written off in the 3rd episode is
the last man standing.
Yes.
All right, what a great note to end on. Thanks everyone for listening in or watching AfterBuzz TV on Ustream, iTunes, AfterBuzzTV.com. We've been coming to you live from the Emmy Awards gifting suites at the Mondrian Hotel, Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood. Tam, John, Kenny, I'm Paul. Thanks so much, guys. Everyone out there, enjoy the rest of the season. 4 eps to go.
And then, you know, keep listening. Hopefully we'll have that finale at the John
Maybe
Lovitz
we'll have
Comedy
some
Club.
more
Hopefully we'll get Aaron.
Yeah,
That's right.
Maybe
It was terrific.
You're on AfterBuzz TV, guys, and we will buzz you later.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.